If you're the one of those people who is bored of games being too easy and you want something that will actually make you think, sweat, and maybe throw your controller once or twice before you finally pull off that perfect strategy, then this list is for you. These tactical RPGs will kick your ass repeatedly, but when you finally win, you'll feel like an absolute genius.
There was an abandoned government reclamation station nearby.
Phoenix Point is made by Julian Gollop, creator of the original XCOM games. And it shows because the game takes the XCOM formula and adds systems that make it more complex and punishing, with the premise that a virus called the Pandora virus mutated Earth's life forms into hostile alien creatures wiping out humanity. And you're leading one of the last military organizations trying to stop the apocalypse. The game has a geoscape where you manage bases and aircraft, and a tactical layer where you fight turn-based battles against the alien threat. And the biggest difference from XCOM is the free aim system, where you target specific body parts on enemies instead of just shooting and hoping to hit. You can cripple dangerous enemies by shooting their weapon arm, or go for headshots to deal massive damage with lower hit chances, and the aliens evolve over time based on how you fight them. So if you keep shooting heads, they grow armored helmets. And if you use explosives, they develop blast resistance, forcing you to constantly adapt. The game is punishing because resources are scarce, and you're fighting multiple factions for world control, with 3 human factions having different ideologies about stopping the alien threat, and you choose which to ally with and which to fight. Your choices have major consequences because allying with one faction makes others hostile, and you miss out on unique tech and soldiers. And the alien faction is relentless, sending massive attack waves at your bases and havens. And if you don't defend them, they get destroyed, and you lose those resources permanently. The tactical battles are brutal. Aliens are smart and will flank you. Use Overwatch to punish movement, and focus fire on wounded soldiers. And the will system means soldiers can panic or go berserk if they take too much damage or see teammates die. The flexibility in solving problems. Recruiting soldiers from different factions to create hybrid builds combining multiple skill trees. And the deep weapon customization lets you attach different scopes and mods to create guns fitting your playstyle.
Next time.
The Last Spell is an indie tactical RPG combining tower defense with roguelike elements to create one of the most intense and addictive strategy games in years. With the premise that magic destroyed the world, and you're defending the last haven where mages perform a ritual to seal away magic forever. Every night, massive monster waves attack your town, and you survive for a certain number of nights until the ritual completes. And during the day, you rebuild defenses, upgrade heroes, and prepare for the next onslaught. The tactical combat is fast-paced and action-oriented because you kill hundreds of enemies per night with just a handful of heroes. And each hero can move and attack multiple times per turn as long as they have action points, chaining attacks to build momentum meters, giving bonus damage and abilities. The game encourages aggressive play because standing still and defending gets you overwhelmed, and it's difficult when enemy waves scale dramatically each night, introducing new enemy types with special abilities that counter your strategies. You might have a strong melee hero carrying your team, but then the game throws flying enemies he can't reach, or enemies with shields blocking frontal attacks and forcing careful positioning. And the permadeath system means if a hero dies, they're gone forever, and you recruit and train a new one from scratch. Resource management can be punishing because you never have enough gold or materials to do everything. Choosing between upgrading heroes' equipment, building stronger defenses, or unlocking new buildings providing passive bonuses. The roguelike elements make each run have different modifiers, map layouts, and available heroes, and you might find great weapons early or struggle to survive. There's an incredible feeling when everything clicks, starting with weak heroes barely killing zombies, but by final nights having godlike warriors teleporting across battlefields and clearing entire screens of monsters. Gears Tactics takes the brutal cover-based shooting of Gears of War and turns it into a turn-based strategy game that still manages to feel fast and aggressive. And it's set during the early Locust War, where you play as Gabe Diaz hunting down a locust scientist, creating even more dangerous monsters. The combat rewards aggressive play instead of sitting in cover because every kill refunds one action point, meaning if you position correctly, you can chain multiple kills in a single turn and wipe out half the enemy team before they shoot back. This creates amazing flow where you constantly think about maximizing damage while keeping soldiers safe, like having a sniper headshot an enemy to give your assault soldier action points to chainsaw enemies, giving your grenadier the opportunity to throw explosives at enemies hiding behind cover. The classes feel totally different, with snipers taking shots across the map and marking targets for bonus damage, heavy gunners suppressing entire groups so they can't move effectively, and scouts dashing around the battlefield to stab enemies in the back for massive crits. You level up soldiers and unlock new abilities, and the customization lets you build your squad exactly how you want, turning snipers into support characters or pure damage dealers. Boss fights test your skills because Locust leaders have massive health pools and devastating abilities that one-shot soldiers if you're not careful, forcing you to bring the right team composition and use the environment, destroying cover or using explosive barrels for area damage. The permadeath system means if a soldier goes down 3 times in a mission, they're dead forever, making you play carefully and care about keeping your team alive. What makes it rewarding is the game respects your time, with missions around 20 to 30 minutes. And pulling off a perfect mission where nobody takes damage feels like you're a tactical genius. This indie game looks like it was made 20 years ago, but plays better than most modern strategy games, with clean pixel art inspired by Fire Emblem and Ogre Battle, but adding unique mechanics that make it stand out. You play as a military academy graduate thrown into a massive war between nations, building and commanding an entire army from scratch. And the coolest part is the squad system, where you control squads of up to 9 units, moving and fighting as a single group instead of individual soldiers. This means thinking about squad composition and synergy, making sure you have melee fighters in front, archers in back, and maybe a healer or mage in the middle, because every unit type has strengths and weaknesses, and positioning matters since squishy mages in the front line get destroyed instantly. The game gives you freedom to experiment with different builds, promoting units into advanced classes that unlock new abilities and stat bonuses. And the battles are challenging because the AI is smart and will focus fire on weak units or flank you if you leave openings. You can't rush forward and expect to win. You have to think about terrain advantages, use choke points to funnel enemies into kill zones, and make sure squads support each other. The morale system means units get buffed or debuffed based on battle progress. So losing a key squad early makes the rest of your army panic and perform worse. The story is surprisingly deep, with politics, betrayals, and moral choices affecting the ending. And you make decisions between missions that change which nations you ally with, locking you out of certain story paths or characters without telling you which choice is correct. The rewarding part is the progression, where you start with weak units, but end with a massive army of legendary heroes and powerful squads. And the difficulty curve is tough but fair, making victories against missions that kicked your ass 5 times feel amazing, because you earned it. Larian Studios basically took the rulebook of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition and turned it into the most detailed and reactive video game ever made. And the result is a tactical RPG that will punish every bad decision you make while rewarding creative thinking in ways you didn't even know were possible. You create your character from scratch, but the real magic happens when you realize the entire world actually responds to who you are and what you do. Like playing as a drow elf makes NPCs terrified or hostile before you even speak. The combat system is brutal because it uses a grid-based tactical system where height advantage matters, and every character gets 1 action and 1 bonus action per turn, which sounds simple until you realize the depth comes from knowing exactly what to do with those actions. You can cast a wall of fire to split enemy groups, and then shove someone into that fire for extra damage, or shoot a chandelier to make it fall on enemies, or use telekinesis to drop explosive barrels right in the middle of a group. The dice roll system is punishing because even with a 95% chance to hit, that 5% failure can happen at the worst moment, like when you're trying to kill the enemy mage before he wipes your party with a fireball. But when you land a critical hit that does double damage, it feels incredible because you see the health bar just vanish. The game doesn't hold your hand, and walking into fights above your level means getting destroyed in 2 turns, forcing you to think tactically about which battles to take. The reward comes from the storytelling because every choice completely changes how the game plays out, and by the time you reach the final act after 100 hours, the ending feels earned because it's a direct result of every single decision you made.
Feel my mistress's wrath.
Battle Brothers is a medieval mercenary simulation that is brutally difficult and makes no apologies. Set in a low fantasy world where you manage a mercenary company trying to survive in a land filled with bandits, noble armies, undead hordes, and orc warbands. The tone is dark and gritty, with permanent death for all mercenaries and a world that doesn't care if you succeed or fail, starting with a handful of weak fighters and barely any gold, taking contracts to earn money for food, supplies, and equipment while slowly building your company. The turn-based combat takes place on a hex grid where positioning and terrain matter more, with high ground giving bonuses to hit and defense, forest providing cover but slowing movement, and swamps exhausting troops faster. Every mercenary has a fatigue bar that depletes as they perform actions, and running out of stamina makes them slower and less effective, forcing careful energy management. And the injury system is incredibly detailed with specific wounds having different effects. What makes it punishing is the randomness, where even your best mercenary can die to a lucky hit from a random bandit. Using a hit chance system where you see percentages before attacking, but even 90% can miss, and enemies get the same chances so they can land crits that instantly kill your guys. Permadeath means you get attached to mercenaries who survive multiple battles, investing in equipment, and watching them get one shot is heartbreaking but makes you play more carefully. The strategic layer is challenging with random events that help or hurt your company, like mercenaries getting food poisoning or deserters stealing supplies. The rewarding part is the progression and emergent stories, starting with trash tier recruits who can barely hold spears, but after hundreds of battles, getting veteran warriors and then defeating legendary enemies that killed half your company multiple times feels earned because you learned their patterns.
Who was that?
It was...
This game brings back the classic mercenary management series with hardcore tactical depth. Set in the fictional African nation taken over by a paramilitary group called the Legion, and you lead mercenaries to take back the country sector by sector. The tone is serious but darkly funny, with mercenaries who have distinct personalities and make sarcastic comments during missions or complain if you send them on too many operations without rest. And the tactical combat is brutal because bullets are lethal and even experienced mercenaries get dropped in 1 or 2 shots if caught out of position. The action point system means every move, shot, and reload cost points, forcing careful turn planning because running your assault trooper up to flank uses most action points, leaving you exposed if there's another enemy you didn't see. The game rewards patience because rushing in gets your squad killed fast, and the punishing injury system means when they get specific injuries like broken arms, it makes them less accurate, and without a medic you use medical supplies manually or they bleed out. The stamina system exhausts squad from running in full combat gear under the sun, making them slower and less effective, and the strategic layer between missions has you deciding which sectors to attack next, hiring and firing mercenaries based on budget, and managing ammunition, medicine, and equipment supplies. Money is tight, forcing tough decisions about hiring expensive veterans or sticking with cheaper rookies hoping they survive long enough. And the time system means events happen in real time, so taking too long lets enemies reinforce positions. The rewarding part is the freedom to approach missions however you want, going in during the day with a full squad or sending a stealth specialist at night to silently take out guards before the main assault. And finally clearing a sector after multiple attempts with minimal injuries feels incredible because you outplayed the game.
The only one left alive. I wish I had been there, so...
Must be awful.
Fire Emblem Three Houses completely changed the formula by adding school management on top of tactical battles. And somehow it works perfectly as you play a mercenary hired to teach at a military academy and choose one of 3 houses to lead, with each house having different students and storylines that split into 3 separate campaigns. The first half takes place at the academy, where you teach students and build relationships through support conversations and shared meals, which sounds like filler, but is crucial because the bonds you form directly affect battle performance, with students who have high support levels fighting better when positioned together and performing special linked attacks. You train them in different weapon types and skills, deciding whether to keep them in default classes or reclass them into something different, like turning mages into knights or fighters into healers. And the tactical battles are classic Fire Emblem with grid-based maps where you move units and engage enemies in turn-based combat. The weapon triangle system means swords beat axes, axes beat lances, and lances beat swords, forcing you to think about matchups. And the permadeath system means if a unit dies, they're gone forever unless you play on casual mode, making every decision tense because you can't throw units into bad situations. The difficulty is brutal even on hard, where enemies have inflated stats and punish any mistake. And you might have a perfect plan, but then reinforcements show up out of nowhere and ruin everything. Maps are well designed with different objectives beyond killing all enemies, like defending points for set turns or escaping overwhelming forces. And what makes it rewarding is watching students grow from inexperienced kids into powerful warriors who take on entire armies. The story explores themes of war, loyalty, and consequences of violence. And the second half takes a dark turn, which is emotionally devastating but worth the hundreds of hours.
Has existed since time immemorial.
You are. Lead the way.
This is basically the pinnacle of classic RPG design in modern games, taking everything that made old school CRPGs great and modernizing it without losing depth, throwing you into a world where magic users are hunted because their powers cause demons called Voidwoken to invade. The story is massive and branching with multiple paths to every objective and side quests, as interesting as the main plot. The turn-based combat uses an action point economy similar to XCOM. But what makes it special is the environmental interaction system, where almost everything on the battlefield can be manipulated, and the elemental combo system has different effects combining in logical ways, like casting rain to make ground, with then using lightning to electrocute everyone standing in water, including your own party. You can teleport enemies into lava, use telekinesis to drop heavy objects on their heads, or turn them into chickens so they waste turns running around clucking, and the game is punishing because enemies are usually your level or higher and use the same skills and environmental tricks you do. You might walk into a fight and immediately get hit with a massive fireball, setting your party on fire, or an enemy teleports your squishy mage into their group and focus fires them down before you react. The armor system adds complexity because every character has physical and magic armor, and you can't apply crowd control until you break the appropriate armor type. The massive skill system has hundreds of abilities across different schools, letting you mix and match to create unique builds like necromancers using blood magic to heal while damaging enemies. The rewarding part is the freedom to solve problems, sneaking to position before combat, talking your way out, or finding alternate paths. And the game respects creativity, letting you stack boxes to climb walls or use teleportation to skip sections.
Of magic, and yes, even subterfuge.
This game looks simple on the surface, but will absolutely melt your brain once you realize how deep the strategy goes. And the genius premise is that you're controlling 3 mechs defending cities from giant alien bugs called the Vek on an 8x8 grid you can see in one glance. The Vek are trying to destroy buildings, and every building that survives gives you power for your grid, which is your health bar. And if it reaches 0, you lose the entire run and start over, which sounds harsh, but runs only take an hour or 2. The combat is punishing because the game shows you exactly where every enemy will attack next turn, giving you perfect information, but you still have to figure out how to stop them with just 3 mechs. You might have 5 Vec on the board with 3 targeting buildings and 2 targeting your mechs, forcing you to prioritize whether to kill the bug attacking a building or push it out of the way to set up a better move next turn. The game is like a puzzle where you find the one perfect sequence of moves that saves the most buildings while keeping your mechs alive, and the rewarding part is you don't have to kill every enemy, just survive for a set number of turns. Creative solutions get rewarded, like using one mech to push a Vec into another Vec so they damage each other, or blocking attack paths so bugs waste turns moving instead of attacking. Every mech has unique abilities, and you unlock new squads as you play, each with totally different playstyles, and one squad might freeze enemies while another sets everything on fire. The time travel mechanic lets you rewind 1 turn per battle if you realize you made a mistake, but you have to be smart about when to use it. The satisfaction of completing a mission without losing a single building is incredible because you know you played it perfectly.